Hey, welcome back to the number one podcast in the world, the Cellarcast, episode 93. This is like the bonus-ish episode so that I can keep parody like I mentioned last time. So I don't know how lengthy this one's going to be, but I do actually have some stuff to talk about that I think will make for some decent rambling material. Really, the only things that I could talk about my week are things that I have dedicated entire segments in my notes to that I would like to talk about. So we're just basically gonna skip that because other than that, not much has happened in the 4 days since since the last episode. But I want to kick this off with a comment we got last time, episode 92. This one comes to us from Gus. He says, about KOF. Remember last time we talked about KOF 13 getting rollback. I mentioned some of my issues with the PC port of 15. He says, I got to say that I didn't like 15 one bit. To me, it was very hard on the eyes. I can't help but think KOF is better with 2D graphics. Maybe I'm getting old. That's reasonable. I'm not a... It's... I think that the look that they landed on with Samsho and 15, it might be the best they can do. It's really hard to beat pixel graphics. You know, that's part of what makes the pixel art of the old KOF games so impressive is that pixel art, good looking pixel art by definition is really hard to do. It's hard to get a certain level of detail in pixel art. In 3D models, a lot of that is just there. You know, you make the model, and you can animate this stuff. When it gets really impressive is when Arc System Works, for instance, really goes out of their way to hand animate every single frame practically of their 3D models and completely swap out different models for different animations and things like that. You have to go really out of your way. With pixel art, it's just built into the art style, the art form. I don't know what you'd call it, the medium, I suppose. I don't blame you. And KOF has some of the greatest 2D pixel art. Greatest sprite animation, even the backgrounds. I remember just looking at on the KOF wiki. They just have, some animated GIFs of the backgrounds from various games. Man, there are some gorgeous stages in KOF history. So no, it's not a crazy opinion. He continues, 13 to me was a masterpiece in that regard. Wish SNK just gave the game the respect it deserves. What about you? What's your favorite KOF? What characters do you play with? I guess I'll take those in order because it's technically 3 questions. What about you? I guess in terms of KOF in general, the respect it deserves. Yeah. I think SNK hasn't been able to give 13 that respect because they've been clawing their way back from financial ruin, partially because of 13. I think now they're doing this because they are in a position where they can give it some respect, and they can dump resources into a rollback update, for instance. What's my favorite KOF? It's hard to say. I've messed around with the only ones I've really touched are 98. I tried out 2002 UM. And I also tried 15. Those are the only ones that I have. And does CVS2 count? Sort of. Let's say that's a halfway. Halfway counts. I am not. I don't feel comfortable saying that a certain KOF is my favorite because I don't think I don't feel like I understand them enough as fighting games to really pass judgment. I could just throw out the one that I had the easiest time playing was 15. I could say that, right? And that's just because of certain modern luxuries, input buffer and stuff like that. But like, I could not tell you if it, like, let's talk about Guilty Gear, a series that I have a lot more experience with. I could say that just about Plus R is my favorite. That game has, I'm judging that on like a totally different metric. I don't know if I could say that I have a specific favorite KOF. A lot of KOF has been kind of it's definitely an acquired taste for me. And I like it now. But I used to really just not see a lot of appeal. I didn't like a lot of the characters. I just didn't like. I remember booting up KOF 2002 UF, the Steam version, for the first time, and I was like, okay, so what's this game about? Now that it's got rollback, and I went to the character select, and it was just this. Oh, there's too many characters in this game. Whoa. Especially as someone who didn't really know most of the KOF cast. Like, I knew Terry, I knew Kyo, I knew you. I knew, like, the big characters, but so many, And it didn't help that, like, because there's so many characters, all of, like, the little portraits, the little, like, hexagon squares on the character select, they're all, like, they have to be super zoomed in, because they have to be small, because there's so many of them. Which just, like... Because so many of the characters have similar skin tones, just this like giant apricot blob on the screen, I could not tell anyone apart. Just based off of like the little character icon on the character select. So that was, ugh. And then like I always had this thing where like I would think a character was cool looking, and then I would try their moveset, and I was like, okay, it's fine. Like I remember looking at like Yashiro. This is the kind of guy I am. I looked at Yashiro and I was like, he looks really cool. I like that design a lot. And then I tried him out and I was like, oh, his moves are kind of boring. That was probably the one I played the most because I didn't get to play a lot of 15 because of all the PC issues. What characters do I play with? I guess that's a good like segue into that. The first character, and it was in 2002. The first character that I actually was like, interested in was Yamazaki. Yamazaki's got to be my favorite KOF character, just straight up. I know he's technically like what is he? Was he from Art of Fighting? Like Art of Fighting 3 or Fatal Fury, he's not an original, he's not a KOF original, but he's Art of Fighting, because I think isn't he from, I don't remember, actually, wait, no, I literally can't remember. SNK had too many similar fighting game series in the 90s. Yeah, Yamazaki, I like, just based on his design, I was like, okay, all right, sure. He's just got like a vest on. And then I looked at I just checked out his moves and his animations, and I was just really blown away because a lot of the KOF cast didn't seem cool to me. To like the things that specifically appeal to me, they did not seem cool, or have like a lot of personality. And mind you, I'm coming from, whenever I talk about fighting games, I have to remind you that like my perfect fighting game series is Guilty Gear. It's like, It is like that forms my tastes in the genre. So I look at a lot of the KOF characters and it's like, oh, it's like a martial artist guy or a guy in like some clothing, and I don't find the fashion particularly cool for most characters, and a lot of them just, like not super fantastical kind of movesets, like generally, maybe they throw out like an energy thing or something like that. Then I look at Yamazaki, and he's got like a super where he like grabs you by the face and like drags you across the ground. He grabs you by the head, drags you face down across the ground, throws you at a wall, and then like punches you super hard. Or there's one where he punches you like 1,000 times like a JoJo character, and he's like cackling and then he like throws a knife in your back, and like you explode. I don't remember if you explode in the Super, maybe in one of the games. I was like, this guy's awesome. He is so cool. He has so much personality. I really like his serpent strike, whatever is his like his little his little like quick like punch lash that he can do in like 3 different heights or 3 different angles. I thought that's like a cool move. He's just he's just got so much character. Excuse me. I was really happy that he got his coat. I was so happy he got his white coat in 15. It's the coolest design. It's the coolest design that could have gone with him. So if Yamazaki's available, I'll always go with him on a team. If he's not, the characters I usually trend towards are like, it's always been difficult. That's my thing, is that team games have always been a little difficult for me to penetrate, just because I have to figure out like Skullgirls was the best, because for me at least as a learning experience, because you can choose to go with a solo character, and then you can branch out from there from other characters you're interested in. Like team games, I usually, if it's like tag team or like a KOF style team game, I usually like, it's like I have to like learn how 3 different characters kind of play, and I know that like how it works, right? Like the characters are usually a little simpler, and they kind of form like the team is more the character, if you could think of it like that. Like all the characters on it are parts of that of that one whole, right? So I usually bounced around like who was like the most solid team I had in like 50. I'll try out like King. I love King, and her moveset isn't very difficult for me to wrap my head around. I also really like Hydern. So my problem with Hydern is that I think he's really cool, and I love his normals. I just like can't do any combos with him at all. So I could play like a really basic, just running around and hitting like strong punch with him kind of game, but as soon as I cannot do anything more than that. I think he's kind of infamous for having difficult combos. So I usually can't stick with him for very long. I think in 15, I actually really liked Luong in 15. I really liked her, because she's has a lot of like Yamazaki isms. Well, actually, specifically, just she has like the kick leg lash move, and that's really fun. I thought her combos were really fun. I thought she was really fun in 15, which is funny because I don't really like her character design very much. I think it's like, I get she's like sexy, but it's like weird. I don't know. It just, the outfit doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Who else do I play? I think I also messed around with Chris a little bit in 15. I'm trying to remember in 2002. I think I went with like we should do like Yamazaki, King. Man, I've always wanted to like K-Dash. I've always wanted to, because he's so cool. I know a lot of people don't think he's cool. Like he's not everyone's to everyone's taste, you know. I think K-Dash is cool because I'm like that, and I've never liked how his moveset felt. That was the other thing that's hindered some of my enjoyment of KOF, is I'll look at a character like him or Vanessa. Like I love boxing characters, right? I love Slayer, I love Dudley. Those are like some of my favorite characters to play as, but I just really don't like how Vanessa's moveset feel. I don't like how she has like these charge moves and like these weird fall. I don't. It doesn't feel good on my hands, and there's really no other way to describe it. It's like a shoe that doesn't fit well or something like that. I don't like it. Yeah, I like KOF as a. I wish that there was an easier way for me to play it that had like functional matchmaking than 15, and that was not like, I don't know, I try to go back to 2002. I don't know, it's so hard to like do anything in that game for me. maybe I probably just have to like sit down and actually put some time to it to figure it out, because I'd like to. I think one of the biggest hurdles for me is getting past KOF neutral. That's always been like, how does neutral work in these games? And I kind of started to understand it in 15 a little bit. Yeah. I appreciate it from afar, and I wish I was better at it / more into it. I mean, God, I made that whole video about Shinkuro. Over time, a lot of the characters have become endeared to me. I like a lot of the characters now. Not all of them. But many of them. Actually, funny enough, so Kat was at Kat and her mom went to like a Filipino market, and they were selling these. I think I'd seen these, but I was reminded of them. They're selling these King of Fighters themed soft drinks, like these sodas, and Kat was like, "Do you want one?" And they're like themed after different characters, and I was like, "Of course." And I was like, "Who do I give me the Iori juice? Give me the Iori juice." So like she ended up saving. She got one, and then she got one for me. She ended up saving it for the next time I was over, and we tried them together. She got the Mai flavor, which I thought was going to be like milk flavored. No, it was actually strawberry. With that immediately made me nauseous. Just smelling it was. Ugh. But she loves strawberry stuff, so she got it. Also, she loves Mai. So, so the Iori was lychee flavored, and I never really. All I knew about lychee was it's that big booby lady from Blaze Blue. That's as much as I knew about it. But no, this is lychee with a Y, and lychee. I had to look up what it was. It's a fruit. It's not super common in the U.S. I'm not sure where it would be common. I forget where it's like endemic to. But I never tried it before, and it was much like King of Fighters itself, an acquired taste. It was interesting because my first impression was it was just like basically just a sparkling lychee flavored drink, and my first impression of it was, oh, this tastes like chemicals. It tastes like cleaning supplies, and I looked up like what is lychee supposed to taste like, and it's very citrusy. And it was funny because, I was drinking it, and I was like, oh, this is weird. This is weird for my taste buds. But it's not bad. Like, I was confused, so I kept just kind of like nursing it. And eventually I figured out, oh, it tastes like citrus. I'm not used to just like a pure citrus taste to things with like the fruits that I eat. I don't have that many citrus foods that often, and the chemical like cleaning product thing that it reminded me of was actually just came from the fact that a lot of cleaning supplies are scented with citrus, like a citrus smell. So I have the association. Actually not bad, Once I kind of figured it out and I got through the can, I was like, that's not too bad. Like, it's an interesting flavor. It might be like, so I have this thing where when I go to restaurants, which is very rare, I'll usually just have like a water or an iced tea. Depends on if the iced tea costs money. Usually it doesn't. But it's, the reason I go with an iced tea is I don't put any sugar in it, and the reason for that is because I have this really bad habit where I'm a very absent-minded eater and drinker. Like, God, it's a good thing I don't drink alcohol. I would be drunk all the time. because I just sit here. I would just absent-mindedly just like drink all day. Like I would not be able to get anything done. It would be terrible. So like I do that no matter what I have in front of me. Usually, like, so okay, if it's something that tastes good, right? If it's something that tastes good, like if I have like a soda, I'll just something sweet. I'll just keep nursing on it, just consistently. And I would end up in the situation as a kid where I realized that I was full because I downed like an entire glass of my drink before the food even got there. And then I had to get a refill and all this. So what I did is I started just drinking like bitter, unsweetened iced tea, so that it's bitter enough that I'm not tempted to just go back to it because my brain's like, sugar, sugar. But it's not bad. Like I enjoy the taste. Again, also an acquired taste. I enjoy the taste a little bit. So I can kind of like, I can have like a few sips of it just to hydrate myself before the food gets there. And then I can drink it throughout the meal. And then I'm not like going through an entire glass of my drink, before I even get my food. So that's a lot more sustainable for me. Maybe lychee can be kind of like a drink like that. I don't know if I've ever seen like a lychee flavored thing on a menu here in the US. Maybe I have and I've just forgotten. Where is it? Are there foods that are made with it? I'm curious now. Lychee. A tropical tree native to South China has been introduced throughout Southeast Asia and South Asia. Interesting. Okay. Excuse me. Lychee foods, maybe? It's a popular fruit in Asia. Many desserts and drinks like jellies, cocktails, and ice creams. Huh, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to trying it in the future. But if they're offering it as a drink, maybe I'll spring for it. A little lychee soda. Right. What was it? I hope that answered your question. I hope that answered your question. So I wanted to talk real quickly about, just to do like a little retrospect on the most recent video about the war in heaven. Because I kind of want to talk about like the whole process that video went through, because it went through a couple different phases. So at first it wasn't even about the war in heaven or Christian FPSs at all, in general. What I'll usually do is I'll take the first couple days after I release a video. I'll take a few days off to relax myself and also like brainstorm ideas and see what I'm like drawn to making at the moment, because I have to be motivated and like excited to do a video idea. I have a huge, I think I've mentioned this before, but I have a big old notepad file of just video ideas. But I can't just like grab one and like, yeah, this is what I'm going to devote like, 30, 40 hours to, at least, of work. I have to be like excited, because it's just like a creative thing, I have to be interested in the thing that I'm making. So sometimes I'll look at the list and I'm like, actually, I want to make a video on that. So originally, the video idea started as I wanted to make one on a topic that I mentioned on the podcast a few weeks ago, which was the anti-Japanese kind of xenophobia in like games journalism that was in like the kind of reared around in like the 2000s or like in the 2010s, early 2010s. I wanted to make a video about that because I thought it was a very interesting topic and one that was, sort of relevant, and something that a lot of people don't know about. So like sort of a perfect kind of idea for this channel, right? And then I spent a few days just looking for stuff, and what I realized was that the topic, when I look for a video idea, I need a story, right? There has to be like some kind of core story, and I can touch on other things. I can touch on things that like surround the story while I'm telling it. But I need something like core that I can talk about. I don't want to, and the way that it was looking was I was just finding those surrounding elements, those like, you know, things that are orbiting the topic. It wasn't like, there wasn't like a strong heart to the story, if that makes sense. There wasn't like a core. And I realized that if I was going to find one, it would take a lot of research. I would have to like, if I was going to make a video out of it, if there even was anything there, some kind of a core, it would take a lot of looking. And it's something that I was like, I'm probably better off putting this on the back burner and coming back to it later. Because I don't want to just, if I was to just make a video on the stuff that I've already found, I put a bunch of sources. I just have like a little document with a bunch of sources and links and stuff right now for later. But like, if I was going to make a video on that, it would kind of just be like a discussion piece. It would just be like, hey, here's this thing. Hey, here's this thing. Hey, here's this thing. It's not the kind of video that I want to make. Like, I don't want to make discussion pieces. Other people can. Other people are probably better off at that. I don't think I am. If I'm going to do something like that, it's going to be on this podcast, like how I talked about it, right? Because, like, I don't know, you guys comment and we could have like a back and forth somewhat about it or something like that. I don't want to just make a video that's like, hey, here's some stuff. What do you think about it? I want to tell a story. That's part of the goal of this. Like, honestly, a lot of stuff that I do is I want to tell a story, and I just wasn't finding it. So I decided after a few days to just kind of put it on the back burner. And I was just kind of sitting there. I'm like, okay, what do I do now? Because I'm kind of like, I kind of spent a few days doing that. What do I do now? And when I'm looking for inspiration, I know that there's 1,000 obscure, weird games that I can go delving into that are just kind of like a layup video idea, if that makes sense. Like, I could just do it. There's like broader topics that sometimes there's like, not, right, like that. Sometimes there's just nothing. There's been a lot of different videos where it's like, or video ideas where I started looking into something and there just really wasn't anything there because it was just a general topic. So I had to move on. What was I saying? Oh God. I just took off my socks. I think that really threw me off for some reason. Which it kind of leads me into like the next, what happened next. So I was like, okay, so I'll let me look at like let me just look at my abandonware, which is a site where I find lots of great obscure games for free, and let me just see if I can find something odd. And I was looking around, I was like, there's this, there's that. And then I saw one of the categories they have was religious games. And I was like, religious games? It's kind of fun. And I looked through it, and I found several Christian first-person shooters. More than one. I was like, how many could there be? More than you would expect. So the original idea for this video, well, before, you know, phase 1 of it, as opposed to phase 0, which was the Japanese, anti-Japanese video idea, was going to be looking at several games. It was originally going to be like a variety episode, like I'll do, where I'll take a look at a couple games that have like a similar that I've grouped together in some way, like horror games or stuff like that. This was going to be Christian first-person shooters. So I downloaded like 4 of these things. And as it turns out, a lot of these games are from the late 90s and the early 2000s. And of them, the first 3 did not work. Like, they did not... Well, okay. The first one I tried out didn't work. The second one also didn't work. Like, they just would not run. Or they would, like, run and then immediately crash, and I could not figure out how to fix it. The third one actually did run. It actually booted up, and I got a couple... I collected, like, maybe 2 hours of footage. Like... Was it 2 hours? No, it was a few sessions. It was, like, 2... I have to go double check. My OBS folder. 1, 2... Okay, I only recorded, like, 2 sessions. Right, because the first session, everything was working normally. It was called Ominous Horizons. Everything worked, and I was like, okay, all right, okay, I've got this working now. The second session, I don't know what happened. This is kind of a running theme with these games. I booted it up, and the game was just, like, melting. Like, the text didn't display properly. Like, menu text wasn't showing up. I could still click on menu things, but I like UI elements, but I couldn't. There was no text there, or it was all garbled. And then every time I tried to save, it like the game would crash. The game would crash. I would fill in a save slot, and then the game would crash. I'd have to start it up again, and then this progressed to a point where I couldn't even boot the game up. So I was like, I don't know what's going on. I guess I'll move on. And originally that game was going to be part of the video until I landed on literally the very last game that I had planned to go through was War in Heaven. That was the last one I downloaded. So I was like, okay, this is going to be like that was the 4th and last game that I was willing to check out. And I realized that it actually works. It was an interesting process to like get it running, which you saw in the video, but it functioned, and I could play through the entire thing. It didn't record very well, but I was able to play it. So that was a big plus. And then when I actually, because I always like to go and check out the people behind the game, and I realized, most of them don't have a lot to their names in terms of video game development. And then I found out Theodore Beale, and I was like, holy shit, this is so fucking interesting. So for the sake of you out there, I've never had a name for my fan base. I feel like that's a little arrogant at this point with this size of a channel. If I did, I would absolutely, of course, it would be the Cellar Dwellers. It could be nothing else. So for the sake of you Cellar Dwellers, I read a lot of Theodore Beale writing. Very unpleasant. Very unpleasant man. Just an ugly human being, to be honest. What was it? And I was like, yeah, okay, I've done too much research into this to like not make this like the focal point of the video. So I decided, okay, Ominous Horizons. I might make like I've kicked around the idea of like just taking the little footage I have of Ominous Horizons and just making it like a second channel video or something, like a really small thing. But like I was like, I should just make this about War in Heaven, because I have the whole game. It's kind of an interesting game in its own way, and it has this insane story attached to it. So, that's that. that's how that came about. That's why it took the whole month. It went through many phases. I think it was worth it. Yeah. So that's the story with that video. I wanted to talk about it because it was an interesting process. And yeah, hey, you know what else was an interesting process? I guess. I saw the Mario movie. This is gonna be a full spoiler review because I don't care. Because I don't care enough. And I respect your right to care, which is why I'm throwing up a spoiler warning. So on Wednesday, was that opening day? Kat and I and some of her friends, we went to a theater and watched the Mario movie. It was fucking $17 for a matinee. Because one of her friends, they picked the theater. They did not plan around me. I live like pretty far away from them. They all live like somewhat in like a proximity to each other. Like not too crazy to get around to each other's houses, for instance. I live way farther away. It was like the theater that they picked was like 2.5 hours by bus from my house. I was like, "Hey, Dad, can you give me a lift?" Can you do me a solid? So, it was that plus 17 because it was this expensive ass theater, with like the super screen or whatever. It wasn't IMAX. It was like some other dumb like ultra giga tier, where they had like it was a matinee. It was a matinee performance. $17 for a ticket. I'm like, oh my fucking god, you guys are lucky. I got like 2 more patrons this month. You're paying for the shit. You guys are lucky. I'm doing side work that I'm under NDA to not talk about. I guess I might be able to talk about it a little bit. It's not super relevant. It's not very interesting. It's for later. Did I mention that? No, I didn't even mention that on this podcast. I've been doing some little side gigs that I have to sign NDAs for. It's like playtesting stuff. I think that's vague enough. I don't want to say the name of the company or anything like that, or absolutely nothing that I actually saw. But yeah, it's basically what I've been doing. It's a neat gig. Anyway, the heck. Right. So like, it was one of those expensive theaters where like you get there and you look at the concession prices. And it's like $10 for a bucket of popcorn. And it's like this popcorn better like suck my dick. This better be the craziest popcorn I've ever eaten. This better make me blow on the spot if you're gonna charge me $10 for popped corn. You know how cheap corn is? Do you know how cheap corn is? And butter? And butter? There's more like corn than people in some states in this country. You know how cheap that shit is? Anyway. So we saw the Mario movie. Kat showed up in a gigantic Princess Peach costume and got a lot of looks. She got a lot of pictures. Some of it was nice. Some of it was not nice. Oh my god, we were waiting in line and these fucking middle schoolers. It was like a 3:30 showing, right? Like a 3:30 p.m. showing. So we were like, okay, the kids are not going to be out of school yet. But I guess some were, like it was an early dismissal or something like that. So these middle schoolers were waiting in line. And they walk up to us, and they obviously she's in this big peach costume. And they go, what movie are you going to see? What movie are you gonna see? And we're like, the Mario movie. Like, I hate middle schoolers. I can't. Oh my god. Oh, children. Oh, children. I was like, damn, they. Oh, I'm so glad that I'm not like that anymore. Anyway, oh god, even before, there's a lot of pre-theater stories. So like we're waiting for our other friends to like get the scan their tickets in. And there's this woman. I am not dressed up. I'm just dressed like I usually dress, which some people would consider dressing up, but I'm just dressed how I usually dress. And this woman is sitting on a bench nearby, and it's just Kat and me standing around waiting. And she goes, "How are you gonna?" And we're obviously a couple, right? And she goes, "How is she gonna dress as Peach and you're not gonna be Mario?" And I'm like, "What? How are you not gonna be Mario? She needs the princess needs Mario." And I was like, and Kat's just staring at me. She's just looking at me disapprovingly. And it's like, oh my god. I'm getting lit up by a black woman in front of my girlfriend. There's no winning here. The game was lost before it even started. He's like, yeah, why didn't you dress up as Mario? I'm like, I don't own overalls. I don't even want a hat. Like, I don't. Give me a break. Come on. Okay, so the movie itself, we sat down in an audience full of children and their parents, and actually other people. There was some, middle school. It was, I would say it was a decent all ages crowd. But the most notable thing was the children. Because I don't know. There was some so every time there was this one kid, I think it was the same kid. Every time there was a Toad on screen, he would go, "Toad! It's Toad!" Like, he loves Toad. I think it's so cute, the stuff that kids get latched onto. He just loves Toad. Toad is cool. I like Toad too. And there was some scenes where there was a blooper. There was a blooper on screen, right? Little squid guys, and the kid would go, "Squiddy! Squiddy! Squiddy!" I'm like, that's cute. That's very cute. What did I think of the Mario movie? It was pretty alright. I have to say, I think we all know what I felt about Sonic 2 and my dad opinions. I liked this better than Sonic 2. I can say that. I enjoyed myself more. I found myself slightly less embarrassed while watching it, if that makes sense. It's definitely for children. Adults could... Okay. It's primarily aimed at... It's a family movie, but it's primarily aimed at children. A child pleaser. It's not a really... I don't want to say that. I was saying, the term crowd pleaser? I was like... I was trying to, child... Okay, let's move on. I was trying to do something there. It didn't work out. But there's things to I guess, keep adults kind of engaged. There is some legitimately enjoyable things about the film. Number one would probably be Bowser. It would be Jack Black as Bowser. He was wonderful, and I really like how they handled his character. They really leaned into the idea that Bowser, he's like this tyrannical lizard king, but he's also really lonely, and he just wants a wife, and he's in love with Peach. He's a big simp, basically. He's a simp, and when he gets turned down, he turns into an incel. The simp to incel pipeline. Pipeline, because it's Mario. That was legitimately really funny. There's scenes where he's playing the piano, and he's singing these corny like soft rock ballads about how he loves Princess Peach and he calls her Peaches. And I could, even in the theater, we confirmed this later. I think I asked Kat about it, or no, because it was confirmed in the credits. I was like, it feels like Jack Black wrote these songs. I feel like he wrote these songs. It feels like something he would write. And the way he's delivering it feels like the way he would deliver his own material, if that makes sense. Like, he's putting that gusto into it, like he had fun writing it. It just really funny, like legitimately really, and I liked those parts. The scene where it really turned around for me, where I went from like, it's fine, to like, yeah. Hey, was, there's a scene where Kamek, oh my god, I forgot about Kamek. I completely forgot when he first showed up on screen, which is like, it's like the opening scene of the movie, which was from like the first trailer. He shows up on screen, he starts talking, and Kat looks at me and she just mouths the word like Jew, and I completely forgot the Kamek is a Jew bit from this podcast. I had completely forgotten about that. If you guys remember, I think there's a clip of it on the Clips channel if you want to go experience that, where I gave my first impressions on the trailer. Excuse me. About Kamek is gaming's first Jew. I totally forgot about that joke that I made. I was like, oh my god, he is. So Kamek is it's a scene where Bowser and Kamek are so Bowser's playing the piano, and then Kamek interrupts him, and he's like, what? And Kamek is telling him like a thing about the plot, and Bowser like tells him to sit down with him at the piano, and it's basically a conversation. It's just a conversation scene that could have been shot or blocked in a really simple way and gotten the same information across, but instead they have Kamek sit down and they play the underground theme from Mario 1. Yeah, it's Mario 1. It's that da 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 da. Or it's some song. Bowser's playing one part of it, and then Kamek plays like he's playing like a different octave of the song. And it's like a call response thing. As they're having a conversation, they're doing a call and response piano duet as they're having a conversation, and I was like, wow, that's actually a pretty interesting way to frame a conversation scene. I like that. That feels creative. I think that the movie does a decent job of having, it has some creative enough interpretations of things. Does that make sense? Why do I feel like part of the reason that my thoughts feel kind of scattered is because I saw this in a movie theater. And as I've mentioned before on this very podcast, when I watch things in a movie theater, I get kind of woozy. I get kind of like, it's hard for me to take stuff in. So our Kat and the others we saw it with were saying that it moved kind of quickly. They thought the movie moved really quickly. I did not get that at all. And I think it's because I have this like situational ADHD, because I'm in a theater and I can't move a lot and there's a lot of people around and there's a big screen giving me visual stimulus. So the film felt fine to me in terms of pacing. But I heard other people saying that it moved really fast. And I could probably see that when I reflect back on it. But I didn't feel that. It felt fine to me. Probably because of the environment that I watched it in. There's a lot of things like, okay, I will admit, I liked a lot of the references that they had in like the opening scenes where they're in like Brooklyn, and there's just a lot of references to like, they're in like the Punch-Out pizzeria, and there's a bunch of like, Punch-Out characters on the wall, and I go, and they like, there's like a wide shot and you can see the building next to it is like something Sunshine, and it's like the Super Mario Sunshine font, And I'm like, oh, and it's a lot of like you point over there, and you're like, oh, it's that thing. Oh, it's that thing. Oh, it's that thing. Um, and as much as I will rag on things that are just like, here's a thing you know, here's a thing you know, here's a thing you know, I won't lie, I liked it. It was neat. You don't see a lot of like, because those are things that don't get referenced a lot. You know, there's a scene where, you know, Mario comes home and they're eating dinner, and Mario's dad is like, "Hey, why you're such a fucking loser, Mario? You suck dick. You're a gay little plumber man, and your business is going to die because you're a gay little plumber man, and I hate the gays." That's about how the conversation goes. And Mario goes back to his room, and he's playing NES Kid Icarus. And he's just like really bummed out, and he dies, and it gives you the game over message that says, "I'm finished." And I'm like, that's like a good, that's a good idea. It was decent. That's a decent idea to have that message pop up, to have him playing that game. It didn't feel arbitrary. Like, oh, I'm finished. That's how Mario feels right now. He feels like a total failure. And then, I don't know, man. It's fine. The stuff in the Mushroom Kingdom, like, once they actually get isekai'd, and he's in, like, the Mushroom Kingdom and everything, it's fine. It just kind of goes how you'd be like, hey, here's the Mushroom Kingdom. It's a big fantasy world. And we're going to have exposition so that the children and family, and their parents in the audience, know what's going on. Oh, you know what was weird? The soundtrack. So there's a lot of Mario music in it, which I thought was neat. I liked that. I prefer having actual Mario music. Like little piano compositions or references and things like that. Not like directly lifted from the games, obviously composed for the movie's soundtrack. But that's nice. I like that. Like Luigi's walking through the woods when he first gets there, and it's the dark, spooky woods, just like Luigi's Mansion. And for like 1 second, there's a little da 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 da, and then it's like just fades into like the rest of the song, and you're like, oh, it's that nice reference, nice. It's a tasteful reference. There's a lot of decently tasteful references in this film, which is why I was okay with it. When I say tasteful, I mean like, I, as someone who knows all this stuff, can go, oh, that's neat. But they're not like shoving it in your face like, hey, remember this thing? Hey, remember this thing? I'm going to reference a line of dialogue. Hey, remember, it's just, hey, here's a little thing for people who know the originals, who know the source material. And I, like here's just, and it doesn't get in the way of the movie. It's just there. It's there. It's part of the soundtrack. It's a little background detail. But the plot of the movie doesn't feel impeded by needing to make references or rely on you being like, hey, here's this thing. Obviously, it's adapting something, so to some extent, it's like, hey, here's this thing. If you didn't, that's the thing, is I was going to say, like, if you don't know Mario that well, does this even, like, how much would you enjoy this? I genuinely can't tell, because I cannot get in the head of someone who doesn't know much about Mario. It's, if I had to give us, like, if I had to imagine someone who has no idea of, like, a total layman, right, what they would think of this movie, a kid would probably enjoy it because it's a lot of bright, colorful stuff on screen, and it's fun. Stuff happens. And an adult watching it with their kid would be like, yeah, it's just fine. Oh God, what else? Is there anything else I have to say about the Mario movie? I don't know. It's like a very... Oh, at the end, when they put Bowser in the cum jar, my mouth was just like agape. My jaw was slack. They're gonna drown Bowser in semen. I couldn't believe that. That's a really weird way to end your movie. It's like I was in shock. What else? Oh, speaking of the score, okay, so a lot of the score is Mario's, and I liked that. I think it should have been mostly that, but there's a lot of like 80s songs in there. Like, what are they? I think they play "I Need a Hero" or that kind of thing. And just like Tetris, weirdly like Tetris, which also had 80s songs as well as music from the game it's about, like, interspersed in the soundtrack. In Tetris, I didn't mention this when I talked about it on the podcast. I wish... So, whenever they used music from Tetris in that movie's score as, like, a leitmotif, it was always the, I think, theme A from NES Tetris. It's the one everyone knows. Do 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 do. It's that one. There's two other songs in that game. There's so much good Tetris music. Okay, you're listening to this right now. Do me a favor. Go look up the Atari ST Tetris soundtrack. It's only like 2 songs. Dude. It's so good. It's such a good-ass song. It sounds like a modern... What's it called? There's some like pop subgenre I'm sure it belongs to. I'm going to listen to it literally right now. Atari ST Tetris. Yeah. It's so good. There's one that... I think the first one is like... First one's fine. It's like a weird underwater theme. Give me number 2, baby. Give me number 2. Give me that. Oh. Do 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 do. Oh, it's so good. I feel like I'm on clouds when I listen to that. Right. So they should have used more music from like other Tetris versions in that movie, and not weird remixes of 80s songs, but in Russian and like with 8-bit instrumentals. It was so weird. Mario just uses 80s songs, and Kat was really confused. She's like, why did they use 80s songs? It seems really... She didn't get it. And I put like 1 second of thought into it, and I was like, oh. It's because parents who are going to go watch this with their kids who don't know much about Mario, they know Mario as, oh, it's that thing from the 80s and like 90s-ish. It's that thing. So the parents, those songs are there for the parents because the parents associate Mario with the 80s. Because there's still like, I don't know, my parents, for instance, grew up with Mario. They didn't grow up with Mario. They were actually young adults by the time Mario came out. But there's still like generations of people who like, they weren't, they were like in high school or college when the NES came out. My dad graduated high school in like 83. So like he, for instance, would have no idea about any of this shit. But he does know 80s music. He doesn't like it. He probably wouldn't like any of the soundtrack. Yeah, so the pop soundtrack was like, okay, I understand why it's there. I wish it wasn't, because I think it would just be better if they just did Mario music. I would prefer that a lot more. And the Jack Black music. Oh, hey, you want to hear something that's actually not cool? So the moment where Donkey Kong is introduced, and mind you, Katrina loves Donkey Kong, they play the DK rap. They play a segment of the DK rap. And I was very happy for her. She was so excited. She squeaked in the theater. She was so happy. She got the D's final DK, Donkey Kong. She was like, I was very happy for her. It was really cute. Grant Kirkhope was not credited in the movie's credits for some reason. It just says like the DK rap from Donkey Kong 64. I think he put out a tweet or something like that, or he said something about like, I guess I wasn't credited for it. It's whatever. It's a thing he wrote like 20 years ago. Also, Seth Rogen himself said the DK rap was like the worst rap ever conceived by humankind or something like that. Which, to be fair, I can understand that take. But like, I don't know, man. Like, put some respect on Grant Kirk. Actually, I think even Grant Kirkhope thinks it's bad. There's like, I read an article with him where he's like, yeah, people were like, they always make fun of the DK rap, and they're always comparing it to like actual rap music, like fucking Tupac. And he's like, I'm fucking Grant Kirkhope. I'm a little white British man writing a song about like for a monkey game for fun. Like, I'm writing like, what do you want from me? What did you expect? Yeah, anything else? The visuals are pretty nice. Mario, so they codify the power-ups in this movie. It has power-ups. Mario gets the mushroom, the mini shroom, the fire flower one. Does he? I don't think he ever actually uses a fire flower, but some of the other characters do. There's the ice flower. There's the Tanuki suit. That was fun. And there's a little reference in the, well, everyone already knows that, in the plumber commercial where they're wearing the capes. Okay, that's cute, right? So Mario eats the mushroom, and I thought I didn't think that they were gonna do that. I thought, oh, he's just gonna get stronger or something. He gets like physically larger, and the effect is really uncanny. Like, it makes me feel weird how big he gets. And like the way he gets big, he just expands. It's not the most grotesque thing in the world, but it's really weird. I didn't like how suddenly like his stomach is like the size of Peach's entire body. It feels like I didn't like it. Is there anything else? Performances. Chris Pratt is fine. We saw it with like a really big Mario fan. We have a friend who's a really big Mario fan. And I asked him like, hey, what did you think of Chris Pratt in the movie? And he was like, yeah, I got used to it. And like, to be honest, when I was never on the Chris Pratt hate train for this movie. I'm like, okay, people are just gonna fucking circle jerk hate on the thing, whatever, okay. It could be fine. It was based off like one line. People were like, oh my god, he's fucking killing my childhood. Okay, alright, dude. It's dog shit. Oh, I'm so fucking mad about the Mario movie. It's fine. It's alright. To be honest, like, okay, I like Charles Martinet's Mario voice when he is being Mario in a video game, and it's happening when I press a button, and he does a jump, and he goes, yee! And he's maybe making a couple little lines, like a here we go, or little catchphrases, oh, mamma mia. I don't want to listen to a movie of that. I don't want to listen to a movie like that. Maybe there's a way you could do it that would work. I don't trust people to do that. I don't trust people to be able to pull that off. Like, to write the dialogue in such a way where that wouldn't become really, really grating. So I didn't mind. And honestly, yeah, I don't know. He just sounds like he's Italian. I'm a guy from Brooklyn, Luigi. It's fine. It's perfectly acceptable. Charlie Day's Luigi is fine. I think the best one, was actually Bowser. And part of that is because Bowser doesn't really have, like, almost every other character. I think it's weird to hear Donkey Kong speak. Because does he speak ever? Has he ever spoken, like, words in the games? Or doesn't he just pantomime? Because, like, Mario, Luigi, Peach, they all have, like, you kind of know what their voices sound like. They have, like, little spoken word here or there that isn't just them making noises. Bowser is always just like, ha, 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 ha. That's Bowser for like 30, 35, fuck, is it 40 years at this point? No, it's not yet. That's been Bowser for forever, right? So like Jack Black's voice, it didn't feel like a how would I say? It didn't feel like there's a big mismatch. Sometimes it's weird. I remember when the anime Dr. Stone came out. I was a huge fan of the manga. I love the Dr. Stone manga. And I love the main character Senku. I love Senku. And I'd been reading the manga for like a year or two at that point. And when the anime came out, and hearing Senku voiced for the first time was really off-putting, because like in my mind, nothing could live up to the voice in my mind. Not that it was bad or that the one in my mind is so much better. Just that's the one. My brain has been filling in what Senku sounds like for like 2 years. So it was hearing a different voice, and I got used to it in the anime. But hearing a different voice was like, eh? What? Yeah. Anyway, I thought that Jack Black's Bowser fit pretty well. Like, there was no hurdle for me. God, I don't know. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to say about the Mario movie? I feel like I've said as much as I can. It was pretty alright. I had a decent time. There was some stuff I genuinely enjoyed. Some of the stuff was funny. Mainly the Bowser stuff. There was a decent. It seemed like it at least felt. I was expecting a super mediocre, corporate feeling Illumination animated movie here, and to its credit, I think it feels like it was made with some amount of care, just in like little details, the ways that like like just like little things that would like, oh, a Bob-omb getting like lit on fire. King Bob-omb is there. King Boo is there at one point. And there's kind of background characters, but like King Bob-omb, his hair gets lit on fire, or his little wick gets lit on fire, and like he explodes. And it's like, that's fun. Just like little touches and reference. Oh no, this scene where they're having the wedding at the end. King Bob-omb sits down. There's like a little turtle shell, like a little Koopa shell on the seat, and he sits down and he like bumps it, and it starts like it like launches to the side of the pew, and then it just how would you say, it starts like rapidly moving back and forth between like the arm of the pew and him, and just bouncing like it does in the game. And it's just this little visual gag on the side, and it's cute. There's a lot of that kind of stuff in the movie, and I think it really helps it. I think it gives it a lot more charm, or it's like, that's cute, I like that. If I had to watch it again, I would not be that upset. That's my review of it. Yeah, the Mario movie. If you like Mario, you'll probably like it. There was a gay couple next to us who fucking loved it. Like, they were laughing when no one else was laughing. Kat gave me shit. Kat gave me shit because that bit where Peach is like in her racing suit, and they just have a big shot of her ass on the motorcycle, and I was like, damn. She's like, babe. Please. Oh, I forgot to mention the funniest thing about Kat's Peach cosplay. We walked into it. We didn't go to Dave & Buster's, but we walked into a Dave & Buster's afterwards, and there was this family walking out. As we were walking in, they were walking out, and they open the door, and they have this little kid, and he sees Kat, and you would have thought he'd been shot, dude. He was like, Like his eyes got wide. His mouth was just open. Just he was like shaking. He got hit by like a bolt of terror. She's a terrifying presence. And the mom like immediately apologized. The mom immediately apologized. And I don't know what the fuck that kid's deal was. Is it because is he freaked out seeing a trans person? I don't know. Or is it because she's in a giant he's seeing someone in a gigantic Princess Peach costume walking from? Is he just a big Princess Peach fan? My cat was like, that kid I'm glad that kid's gonna get his ass beat. I'm like, all right, okay, babe. She got a lot of compliments. On it. A lot of people liked her outfit. It was cute. It was very cute. With the movie itself, yeah, the movie was fine. It was pretty all right. That's my scale. I don't know. I don't like rating things on a number scale, like from 1 to 10, so I won't. But that's my size up. On the Tigan scale, it's a pretty all right. You know what movie is really good? Rango. We went home and we watched Rango together because it's apparently so. Cat in our Nickelodeon marathon. This is our next one. I forgot. Excuse me. I forgot that this movie was technically like a Nickelodeon picture. I would have figured it would just be under like Viacom or don't they own Paramount? I think they own Paramount. I would assume it would just be under Paramount or something, but no, it's like a Nickelodeon production specifically for some reason, despite the fact that the animation was done by Industrial Light and Magic. It was like their first full CG picture. I'm getting off topic. This is apparently the highest rated theatrical Nickelodeon film. And we're only going to do the theatrical ones in our marathon because that's already like 30 movies. And if we went to like made for TV ones, we'd be here forever. So this was the next movie, and we're just kind of going in random order by what we want to watch next, or actually what she wants to watch next. So I vaguely remember Rango coming out. I remember the movie. I know it's about a lizard guy. I know the basic premise. Also, my mom loves Johnny Depp. She's had like a huge crush on Johnny Depp. So when I was a kid, I just always heard her talking about how much she fucking loves Johnny Depp. So anything with him in it is just kind of like in my memory because of that. But I'd never seen the movie. I think I'd seen like maybe 10 or 15 minutes of it as a kid. There's only like one scene I remember. Also, this is a spoiler thing. Maybe it might be. There might be spoilers. I'll mark it. I'll mark it in the timestamp if there's spoilers. I might not because I legitimately enjoyed it and I think you should go watch it. It's the scene where they do like the first time you see the ritual where they go get water and they're all like in the town. They do the weird little dance. That's like the one scene I remember. I couldn't recall anything else. And that was, I think, the last thing I ever saw of the film. But we watched the whole thing. I really liked it. I really liked Rango. If you don't know, Rango is a pretty classic fish out of water story. Or you could call it maybe a lizard out of a box story. It's about a little lizard guy named Rango. Well, he doesn't have a name at the start. And he's like he's in his little like environment enclosure in someone's car driving on the highway. They hit an animal on the road, and he gets launched out, and he's stuck in the Mojave Desert. It's a very Fallout New Vegas movie. So he's just wandering around the Mojave Desert, and he comes across a town called Dirt, and he kind of accidentally, he's like, well, he's extremely lonely, and he's spent all of his time in his box coming up with little plays and theater productions with props and the things that are available to him in his box. So when he gets to the town, he's kind of a pushover. He's terrified. He has no idea. This is the first time he's been out in the real world. And then kind of on a whim, he's in this like intimidating old West saloon bar with all these other little animal characters. And he decides to make up a story about how he's actually the toughest, baddest motherfucker on the planet in the whole West. And convinces everyone that he's actually this like crazy tough guy who's killed 7 people with 1 bullet kind of thing, and he has to like explain how he did it. And it's like, oh, it's fun. And then so there's he ends up becoming the sheriff. Oh, then he accidentally there's this bird, there's this hawk that's been assaulting the town, and everyone's scared of the hawk, and he accidentally kind of kills it in sort of like a slapstick sequence, this like chase sequence. So they kind of worship him now as this hero, and he becomes the sheriff. So he's basically got he's got to figure out why there's no water left and figure out the mystery. And it's like, on paper, it's not like a groundbreaking story or anything. It's like a pretty basic fish out of water. Character gets himself way in over his head, has to make do with his circumstances. Got to find a way to come out on top in the end and change. But the way it's delivered is the execution is what really made it for me. The movie's weird. It's very unappealing in many ways. The animals are not that cute in like a traditional sense. Not very marketable. They look weird. It reminded me hang on, I actually didn't. It reminded me of I was like, this reminds me of something like from my childhood that I'm trying to remember. And I don't know if I can quite put my finger on it exactly, or if this is the right thing. It kind of reminds me of Skippy John Jones. I don't know if anyone here has heard of Skippy John Jones, but it was these like children's picture books that I had as a kid about this Chihuahua named Skippy John Jones, and he kind of goes on these sort of weird, kind of abstract adventures. Trying to find I'm just seeing book covers. He goes on these kind of weird abstract adventures with these sort of weird looking characters, and a lot of it is very just looking at it again to refresh my memory. Things are kind of Mexican culture and stuff like that. So this also has kind of a lot of there's a lot of Spanglish in it. It's got kind of a Western vibe that it's going for, and I don't know, there's weird looking characters that aren't immediately super appealing, but kind of charming. I kind of like them. I like them. The lizard girl, her name is Beans. I am shocked that she hasn't made a resurgence in popularity, because she's weird looking, but she's kind of cute in a lizard way. I'm not saying I would fuck her. I'm saying she's cute in a dog way. I wouldn't fuck dogs either, for the record, to make that clear. So she's cute. I like the designs. They're fun. Everyone's kind of dressed up in Old West clothing, but they're weird kind of looking animals, and toads and spiders and weird looking dogs, and it's neat. It's also really Rango just looks weird. He looks strange. He does not look like a regular lizard. He has this crooked neck and this big, I guess his head is somewhat accurate for a lizard, but the neck is all funky and his build's all lanky and oddly proportioned. The way that the story's told, not the way that it's told, but the things that happen, there's a weird surreal element to a lot to the movie, where there's just these sequences that are like, is this happening? Is this like literal, or is this symbolic? Is this like a real, like, there's a whole scene where Rango, I think it's like it's like a symbolic death, and he goes to heaven and like comes back reborn. And it's this whole sequence, and he talks to a CGI John Wayne, who honestly still looks good. For coming out in like 2012 or something, whenever this came out, the CGI people look really good. Like, I think it holds up for being like going for like a realistic look. Like, is this happening? There's like these owls, right? There's this owl mariachi band, and they introduce the movie, and you at first they tell like, oh, we're gonna talk about the hero Rango, of his life and his untimely death. And you're like, oh, okay, so this is kind of like they're playing the role of like a Greek muse. They're there to supply like almost like a third party to talk to the audience through song, to explain things. But they're not like literally supposed to be in the story, except no, they are. And they're speaking about things that are going to happen, apparently, like how he's going to die at the end of the story. But no, they're like they're the characters see them. Rango acknowledges them, like directly acknowledges them as being there. They're in scenes. They're real. And then at the end of the film, guess what? Rango's not dead. And I guess, oh, and like the owl, one of the owls asks like, I thought you said he was gonna die. And then the one who's kind of the leader says like, he'll probably die in like some like household accident, something like that. And it's like, wait, did they not know the entire time, or what? Why have they been following him around? How did they talk to the audience at the beginning? And there's all these like questions, right? And I don't mind, because the movie doesn't break. I think it kind of enhances it, because there's this sort of unreal element. Like honestly, the last like 30 minutes of the film, I was like really wrapped up in it. Everything from like Rango getting exposed and booted out of the town, which is usually the part that I don't like. It's this, they do the whole, I guess this is spoilers now. They do the whole like, you lied to us, and Rango leaves. And this is where he has this section where he's like, he's crossing this highway, and the cars are just barely missing him, and he's just not getting run over. And there's like this music playing, and he gets to the other side of the highway, and it's like nighttime, and there's just these lights from the cars, and he like falls over, and he wakes up. He's in this white like desert. And it's like, is this a hallucination? But no. And then he's seeing, that's what he talks to John Wayne. Sorry, not John Wayne, Clint Eastwood. It's Clint Eastwood. And Clint Eastwood drives off, and then he talks to this armadillo that got run over at the start of the movie. And there's like, it's these types of cacti that are like, they're like walking towards the water. He's going towards the water. Everyone wants to know. It's the whole movie revolves around this resource. We need water to live. You need water to control the land. You need water to control the people. And it's this kind of like almost mythical thing, the water. But it's so common, and Rango, we've been in this desert this whole time. He's walking and walking to find the source of the water that these cacti are literally walking towards in the desert. And he gets over this hill, and he's the source of the water. He looks over the hill, and it's a city. It's a human city, and it's like it literally like another dimension. It's like him as a lizard. Can he even understand what he's looking at? And you're just watching. It's like a golf course. It's a golf course, and you're seeing like the automatic like sprinklers just spraying water everywhere, and this resource that's been so scarce and so coveted the whole film is just being thrown out to water some like grass for like a recreational game. And like the imagery and him seeing, just like looking at this, is it's like, I don't know what it's incredible. I'm like, god damn. And it's kind of when he pieces together that, like, you know, who's actually controlling the water is the mayor, and the mayor plays golf earlier in the movie, and you're see all these things are coming together, and I don't know, it's really cool. It's such a cool film. It also has like a snake, but the end of the snake's tail is a gun, and it has like bullet bandoliers around its body, and it's fucking awesome. It's really cool. He's wearing a cowboy hat. Like, incredible character design. 10 out of 10. Just like a lot of just weird abstract stuff towards the end that like really sucked me in. It was weird, and I don't know if a kid would understand it, but it's that thing that, like, I feel it's neat to like show to a child, because it's a weird vibe. So much kid stuff is just like, we're blaring noises at you right now in colors, and then Rango's like, it's just this like weird, surreal thing. I think that's cool to expose like a child audience to. That's neat. I liked it a lot. Anything else about Rango? No, I really liked it. I couldn't even tell that it's Johnny Depp. Like, he does not sound like Johnny Depp, which I guess is to his credit as a voice actor. Whenever I think of Johnny Depp, I imagine him talking, because he's talking about, as Rango, he's like this. I'm a lizard man, and I'm the sheriff of this town. When I think of Johnny Depp, I like, just speaking normally, I think of him as like this vaguely European, almost kind of like, you know, that weird accent he has where he goes, and my name is Rango. My name is Johnny Depp. I play the character Rango in the film Rango, and I'm like a sheriff cowboy, and I fuck the lizard. I fuck the lizard girl. Anyway, yeah, it's a great movie. Really liked it. Would recommend watching together. It's funny to compare it to the Mario movie, which I watched the same day, and think that, like, the Mario movie, I feel like it's just barely enough for, I think, an adult to get by. The Rango movie, I feel like an adult could legitimately enjoy. Like, it's an interesting film. I really liked it. And Kat thought I would like. She's like, yeah, I thought you'd like this because it's weird. And I'm like, yeah, I do like it. You do. I think that's pretty much it for the podcast. Yeah, it's gonna be a shorter one. We're clocking in at just under an hour 30. I think that's good enough. Thank you so much for listening. If you've been listening to this far, listen to me ramble. If you have a question, please leave it down in the comments below, but please phrase it in the form of a question, because I'm not just going to read your thoughts out loud. The Patreon, yada yada. Check out the last video. Check out the Clips channel, I guess. Check out the second channel, I guess. If you want to learn how to use a semicolon. Excuse me. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Goodbye.